So Francis will be joined by another guest who needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway, because he is a media mogul, a cultural disruptor, unapologetic, the voice behind one of the most influential brands of the last 2 decades, and as the founder and owner of Barstool Sports, he didn't just redefine sports commentary. Mi gente, he built a movement.
That's right, a movement.
And
He has built a movement.
And turning digital content mail into lifestyle community, into a media empire.
Incredible.
He's known for what? For his bold takes, for his fearless brand building and unfiltered authenticity. He is the master of reinvention. You know him from his pizza reviews.
That's
you
right.
know him from his business bets. And now he's here in the 305, staking his next big move in the Sunshine State. Please turn your attentions to the screens.
Oh, hey there. Did you hear the news? On this 83-degree day in paradise. That's right.
Me and Miss Peaches have a very big announcement. Come on. You wanna come on?
All right, pizza review time. Everybody knows the rules. One bite, everybody knows the rules.
Woke the business. We have lots of fans. Over the course of 20 years.
Now help us welcome
The one and only
Dave
Portnoy.
The program will begin in 5
Vamos mi gente, aplauso, pues, aplauso, jaja.
Hi.
What's happening? Wow, that was scary. I guess you're gonna be at a tech conference to see something buzzing by your head and almost taking you out. So Dave, let's start with a couple of funny stories. Before we got on stage, this is a really funny story. Dave and I have known each other for a few years now. He's Miami, and we're very proud to have him here in our city. And so when I got up this morning, I thought to myself, what am I gonna wear? I'm interviewing Dave, I gotta dress like Dave. You know what I mean? This is a cool conference, a tech conference. And Dave's usually, as you saw in the video, kind of dressed down and casual, whatever. And so I get back there, I'm wearing a t-shirt, I'm wearing, my clothes, and he's like suited up. He looks like $1 million. I'm like, no, Dave, you look like $1 million. I look like $19.99. So
You just said you were trying to dress like me.
that's true.
$19.99. Yeah, I mean, I'm in pizza reviews when I'm dressed in a t-shirt, not in a conference. But yeah, I was surprised not to see you in the sport coders.
So of course I went and very quickly resolved the situation. The second thing that I think is really cool and unique about him is he's a person of his word. And so he was invited tonight to be on Jimmy Fallon's show and said no to be here with you guys today. So why don't we give him a round of applause?
I will never get that invite again.
He's probably right.
Definitely not.
I have a similar Joe Rogan story. So Dave, you took what was at a time sort of a small blog and you turned it into a media empire with one of the most loyal audiences out there. When was the moment that you realized that Barstool wasn't just a media company, but had transformed into a movement?
So that would we started in 2004. I would say 2010 was Barstool took a long time. It was no overnight success story. It was very slow. I would say brick by brick. But we did a little music concert tour in 2010 called Stoolapalooza. I'm from Boston. We left downtown Boston, went to neighboring colleges, and I had no idea what to expect. We showed up on these campuses and there were signs hanging in the windows, people chasing the buses, very excited that we were there. And that was the first time it clicked. I probably wouldn't have to get a normal 9 to 5. It's like there's something going on here that is great for us, and we have a stronger base than I thought.
Yeah, there was something viral happening there. I did channel my best Boston green here for you.
I like that. I like that.
I brought it.
The Heat are kind of in shambles.
That hurts. It's painful.
I still root for all Boston teams. I do. Miami people get on me for that, but you got to stay true to your.
You gotta stay true to your. You gotta stay true to your home. Listen, even if for some God knows what reason I was ever had to live in Boston, I would certainly root for you. So You're a guy who bets big, whether it's sports, whether it's business, whether it's life. What's the boldest business decision that you've ever made, and what did you learn from it?
I don't know if there's a singular thing. I've just really believed in Barstool and what we were doing. If I had to point to one probably moment, it wasn't so much even bold, but probably 3 or 4 years into Barstool, we weren't making any money, and I took another job because I just couldn't like exist. It was a sales job. At lunch of this sales job, I left. I never came back because I believed in what Barstool was doing, and I knew if I wanted to give Barstool a chance to like be successful, it needed all my attention. It needed 110% to what I was doing. So that's probably that moment where it's like, you know what, I'm not going to give up on Barstool is probably the boldest, if you want to call it bold, but the best decision I made during the course of the business.
How scary was it when you did that?
You know, I had a 9 to 5. It felt good. It was almost like I was, and it's very easy. For an entrepreneur, a lot of times I think the hardest thing is sticking with your guns and staying true and blocking out, because a lot of people will be like, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna fail, it's impossible. And most businesses, truthfully, do fail. So how do you stay with it? And there's almost like the social norm of get a job, go back into the workforce. And for me, once I just committed, refocused on Barstool, it's almost a relief. Like, okay, you know what? If this doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm not gonna go down until I'm kicking and screaming. They're dragging me away for this thing. So it's more relief than anything else.
So you essentially redefine sports. You blend entertainment, unfiltered content, and fan engagement in a way that the traditional media never could. What do you think is the future of sports and digital media? Where does it go from Barstool? What's the next iteration? What's sort of the next evolution?
You know, I think what social media, the internet has done, and companies like Barstool, but even beyond Barstool, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, it's let personalities get their own voice out. And even if you're paying attention to like SportsCenter today, like Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James are fighting like very publicly. Like they're talking about what it would be like if they actually fought each other, you know, and they're really going at each other. That's new. Like you couldn't, 10 years ago.
I can't see Michael Jordan doing that.
No, 10 years ago, like a commentator on ESPN isn't talking about throwing punches at the best player. So it's just totally changed the way the media landscape works. And I don't know if that's a credit or it has anything to do with us. It's much more Barstool. It's much more like if you and I are behind a curtain talking like, hey, who do you think would beat each other up? LeBron, like now it's on the main channels. They're actually talking how people talk at a bar. So and the internet's a great equalizer. It lets everybody get their voice out.
What's the over-under in the number of rounds that...
I'd be a Stephen A. guy. I've hated LeBron since he was here in Miami and Cleveland. But I don't think it would last very long. LeBron's a beast.
So, you've been quite outspoken about why Florida's the place to be. We saw you on the video extolling the virtues of our incredible weather. And whether it's tax, climate, lifestyle, or just getting away from the craziness that's happening up north, what is it about Miami and Florida that sort of energizes you and that makes you excited about being here?
Yeah, the weather's great. I mean, I don't want to toot your own horn, but we've known each other for a couple of years, and I come from Boston. I ran for mayor of Boston.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
I was so fed up with the way they were treating local business. Very anti-business, tough to get anything done. Since I've known you, you've always been, and I heard them say in the intro, like, how can I help? Pro-business, pro-entrepreneur. That doesn't happen in every city. And forget the weather and all the great stuff. It's a welcome change as somebody who knows how hard it is to build a business. It's harder when the city is kind of against you. So it's very welcoming to business.
You know, for me, it's very natural, and I just can't think of another way. I can't understand how a city can be, or a government can be against you instead of for you. It's supposed to serve you and work for you. So based on the time you've been here, do you think that Miami lives up to the hype, or do you think we still have a long way to go?
No, I think it's great. Weirdly, for me, my company, because we thought about putting our headquarters here, one of Miami's, South Florida's biggest benefits to me was one of the biggest detriments. The weather and the nightlife. I have all these young kids. I'm like, they're not going to work. Like, it's a lot easier to wake up at 8 a.m. in New York City when it's cold and rainy and no one's outside anyways. Here, it's like, are my guys going to do anything if we relocate? But if you can get past that, I love it. And for me, it's perfect. But yeah, almost the biggest thing I love is the biggest detriment, because I want my guys in the office working, not at 11 partying.
Or 12, or
Yeah.
10. So that sort of like no BS anti-establishment culture that you have at Barstool, I think it fits well with our city. How do you see sort of the value set, synergy between Barstool and Miami?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of synergies. I mean, if you look at Barstool, I come again from Boston. Miami is a far more diverse city than Boston, yet been welcomed with open arms, and a lot of people walking down the street want to be part of it, want to help. Very similar. Everyone's just trying to make their mark. It's a city where everyone's trying to make their mark, which is what Barstool really did. It's like you come into a world that you're kind of not necessarily like mainstream media, and you got to carve your place out, and everyone's doing that here.
I feel like we have a lot of hustle. Like, we're a city that, people underestimate because of the reputation of partying and all that, how hard everybody here works, how passionate they are about what they do.
And I'll say there's always something going on here. I mean, whether it's this, Bitcoin, well, you name it, conventions, like every single week, the banners change, and there's a new big event, and with those events brings all sorts of business with it.
I think Miamians also are very loyal, and one of the things you've created which is I think unique about Barstool, is sort of the loyalty of your customers, of your listeners, of your followers. What would you attribute that to, and sort of what is the secret from your perspective of creating that brand loyalty?
To me, it's just being authentic, and the Barstool readers, fans, whatever you want to call them. I've been telling our story now for over 20 years. And they were with me when it was just me handing out newspapers on the side of the street outside of the subway, screaming at people, hey, take Barstool Sports. So every day they've been following, and they know I haven't changed. So if you're just true to yourself and you don't try to pretend to be something you're not, you establish goodwill and trust. And it's all about trust. You can't have it if you're not authentic.
And I think, frankly, today, I was blown away by the fact that, I've been in public service for 15 years, and I've had people cancel on me. And the fact that you didn't cancel and said, hey, this may have been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you, and you're here. It just, to me, that's the long game. Like, you're yes, agreed.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even